Afgelopen maandag werd tijdens de nieuwjaarsreceptie van de Vereniging van Economisten in Suriname de nieuwjaarrede voor 2025 uitgesproken door de General Manager van Total Energies, de heer Arthur Nunes de Silva. Deze jaarrede had als titel Empowering Local Growth, Total Energies Commitment to Suriname's Future. Arthur Nunes de Silva benadrukte de bijdrage van Total Energies aan de groei van Suriname met focus op duurzame energie, innovatie en lokale gemeenschappen. Hij gaf aan dat Suriname veel potentieel heeft voor groei in de energiemarkt en dat Total Energies zich inzet voor een duurzame toekomst voor het land.
I'm very honored to be here and to share with you what is our activity and how, to what extent we think will contribute to the growth and what I hope will be a bright future for Suriname. So this is the first slide. As you see, we put that image because every time in the headquarters or abroad we ask us what is Suriname, that is really the image that comes. A green country, a country with lots of forest and with great light, and I think is really what is for us the synonym of Suriname. If I go to more industrial stuff, here a short story of what is Total Energies in Suriname. And very briefly, we have to admit that we are here because our partner, APA, when at the same time where it was heating up in Guyana, in Starbrook, came in 2015 to Suriname and take this block 58 that we enter in. After that, for some years after, and it was a long negotiation, some of our explorers said we have to go and we have to try to convince them to sell us part of this block and to provide us our know-how in developing deep offshore. And those are two friends, business guys, that they are the ones that initiated. One is the explorer, the other one is the businessman that initiated the discussions with APA. And finally, in 2019, we signed the agreement. And what is important here to show is that very quickly we start drilling, in fact, and after the first results, we put in place a project team to work in this project. And finally, Mr. President, we took the final decision of investment on the 1st of October. My CEO transmits you FDP, the Field Development Plan, and we celebrate that with our partner, APA, and with Stazzoli as new partner and as regulator. But our presence here is not only Block 58. Our presence in Suriname is three other blocks, two in the classical offshore, 6 and 8, that are just below Block 58, and one in Block 64. And I can announce you today that we'll do this year, in May, we'll be doing a new well, an exploration well in Block 64. So who knows, we'll have again a discovery. And Gromorgo is only the first of many projects. To put in perspective, and because I know that is not familiar to everybody, maybe very quickly, what is the life of field of an oil and gas project? The life of field of a oil and gas project is something over 30 years, 25, 30 years. And it starts by exploration, then what we call appraisal. To explore and to appraise, we need to drill. That's what we have done until last year, and now 2023 until 2 years ago. And because there was some articles saying that we're slow, we never understood that because in fact we went quite fast. And not only we went fast in drilling 14 wells, but we probably beat one record between the end of appraisal and the FID doing it in 1 year. So in that regards, Total Energies was really committed, together with APA, in this project, and a firm believer that Suriname has good resources, but is also a good place to work. After that, we are now entering, after FID, we are entering in the construction phase. It will last for 5 years. We are expecting the first oil in 2028, and then we'll produce around, I put 22 years because it's the license we have, but we are hopeful that we will be able to extend that. And we have at the end, often we tend to forget, we have at least 1 or 2 years to decommission and make sure that we leave the place where we are developing in good conditions and without our impacts. Below, just a scheme of what is a production, because again, when you do the math, and when you listen about our reserves and our plateaus, some people say, but how can it be? And in fact, it's because all oil production, it's a ramp up, then it's a plateau, and then we have a decline. Obviously, we'll try to limit the decline as much as we can. The planning is the one we're presenting during the FID, and as I just said, we are still targeting in 2028, in the first half of 2028, the first oil. I must say that so far we are within the planning. We signed the contracts. We are having even some improvements in the contracts we have signed. The hull that is, I mean, it's a hull, but is a quite huge hull, is completed, is now just being finalized, and will go to the yard where we'll put the plant on top of it. And so I think that there is a very high confidence in our GV that we will be within planning and within budget, I hope also. The more important in this keynote is and what happened in Suriname. So here I try to show how it will evolve or how the activity will come to Suriname. So in our project, you have seen now we are in execution, and obviously to produce we need wells, so we start by these wells. We start by drilling. So drilling will be starting end of 2026, beginning of 2027. But before that, in fact, we have to bring, and it takes more than all the equipment that will be necessary. We have to prepare the logistic base. We have to put in place the services, the mud plant, the waste management, all that. And so it means that, in fact, from end of this year, the activity will actually start for the drilling. After that, what comes very soon after is everything linked to subsea. So here is acronyms that you might not be familiar. SPS stands for Subsea Production Systems. SURF stands for Subsea Umbilicals, Risers and Flow Lines. Don't worry, all lines is the lines that go subsea. This is the next thing, is once we have drilled, we have to connect all these wells, we have to put everything together, the infrastructure, and we have to have the lines that will take all to the FPSO, that is in fact the unit that stores the oil, that treats the oil first, that stores the oil, and that offloads the oil. And that is the last one. It will arrive around 2027, and then we'll have what we take some time is connecting all together, and is also doing the commissioning, making sure that everything is safe, that is available. But this is a planning, this is just a schedule, but what it represents in activity. I tried to put some figures that show what it represents. So what it represents is that you'll see arriving in Suriname the infrastructures that are here, and all the teams that are required to have it work. So we'll have 2 rigs. Each rig is 200 people in rotational time. So it's 200 people working. You will have 5 quite huge installation vessels. These vessels work with 50, 60, 100 people, depending on what the type of vessel. You will have 25 support vessels. And the support vessels are quite huge vessels. And those will be arriving here from 26, 27, and they will create all the activity that goes around. They will require all the services that are needed. We'll have 3 helicopters to ensure all the rotations, but also to ensure security and safety operations if need be. And we'll have a large space in warehouse and yards and storage. We'll need to increase some of the berths that are available. And in fact, we already know that we won't be able to do all our operations from one single base, and we'll need to have 2 bases in Paramaribo for all the operations. Why? Because we are talking about moving 500,000 metric tons. 500,000 metric tons, most of you, maybe some of you have already heard that. To put it in perspective, is the equivalent of 2,500 747 planes fully loaded that you'll be transferring from Paramaribo to the Block 58, that is 180 kilometers from Paramaribo. So that's the activity, and that is what it will be. It's an artistic view, but it will really look like that. You will have this FPSO, you have the vessels, you have the lines, all that connected. It's a $10.5 billion project. It's 750 million barrels plus. It's 32 wells. It's a large project in oil and gas industry.